So I have not discussed the criteria that they use for that, so I don't know. I guess I can't really tell you the answer to that.
Yeah, I get a letter from the city every year stating all my personal property, what I paid for it, when I bought it, and everything.
It certainly is the case with any business,
Yeah.
Even if it's a business out of your home on the island, but as far as rental properties go, I don't know the answer to that. I've never
I spoke with Chad about it one day, he said we have a few, I don't know, like apartment complexes and stuff, they pay
would
personal
imagine,
property. But the people that own like homes and stuff don't pay in personal property.
that might be something that we might want to look into.
Yeah.
Next time the assessor's here, I'll have that discussion with them and see what they, how they determine who they do and who they don't. Anybody else?
One more, if you're going into closed session about the police contract negotiations, does that include both the officers and the chief, or?
Yeah, I would.
Because they're usually two separate contracts, I think.
We're just gonna be having a discussion about whether or not actually even negotiating right now.
Right, but I mean, that's usually two separate contracts.
Right.
That's all I got right now.
Okay. Anybody else? Otherwise, we're gonna close public hearing. Motion to close public hearing. Motion by Cole, seconded by LaFond. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Item number 4, consent agenda. Any items anybody wishes to discuss or remove, otherwise we need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, items A, B, and C.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Poe, seconded by Wilder. Any discussion? Hearing none, call motion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, old business. Funding approval for the volunteer employee appreciation party, February 22nd at the Days Inn. Chad, where are we at?
Currently, we had 95 present, past employees, committee members sign up for the festivities. We would be charged $13.95 a plate, which comes to approximately $1,325.25 for that many that would sign up. We were missing, I think, a couple though. So that might change a little thing, and then they do have gratuity that we would pay for, and then that would, the only other thing that we would need to look at is if we were gonna supply any type of drinks or.
So at this point in time, we feel even if we bought everybody a beer or two, we would probably be around $2,000.
I think, yes. We have, there would be, and I did bring last year's with us. Based on the gratuities and the alcohol and everything that we did last year, we would be right about that $2,000 range. Now, that doesn't include, we did do a cake last year, which I think was about $45.
Not even, I think it was like $30.
Yeah. There is a couple different options for drinks. Last year, I think we did, if we did want to go with like, instead of drink tickets, we could do like a half barrel or something, which would probably be a little bit cheaper cost-wise, overall cost-wise, than doing separate single drink tickets for everybody. But we can work out those details, I guess.
Yeah.
How many did we have last year? Do you remember, or Cassie?
It was like 92 that signed up, but we paid for 111. And that's why this year we went to more of a, you sign up, we need to know that you're gonna be attending.
Why did we pay for 111?
Cause that was the head count that we had originally that
Oh, I
had
thought you
signed
said
up.
92.
We had 111 sign up last year, but only
Oh,
92
92
showed.
showed up. Oh, I see. Yeah.
So what do we need to do?
Make a motion to approve it.
Up to the 2,000?
Whatever amount you feel comfortable with. If that's the amount, or
I move that we approve expenditures up to 2,000 for the volunteer employee appreciation party scheduled for February 22nd of this year.
is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Wilder, seconded by LaFawn. Any further discussion? Call the motion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6A, approval of refunds due for overpayment of taxes.
Is there anything we need to do with this other than?
Just approve it.
Yep, this year we got pretty lucky, pretty low on.
4,774.98. I make a motion that we approve $4,774.98 for excess payment of taxes.
Second.
Motion by Post, seconded by Wilder. I wouldn't say that we got lucky, Chad. I'd say that most people probably ended up being under because the taxes went up as much as what we. My guess. All right, call a motion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6B, approval of temporary Class B retailer's license for French Island Lions Club for February 22nd.
Motion to approve the temporary Class B retailer's license for the French Island Lions Club, February 22nd.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? Call the motion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Item 6C, discussion and possible action on funding for fire department lighting upgrades. Nate?
So, I believe you should have a quote already. The lighting in the fire station has some issues with the ballast with the lights keep burning out. We've replaced ballast and the ballast burn out too. And as a part of this, trying to figure out what to do in terms of, there are old lights we can't find bulbs for in the back. The newer fluorescent lights are these long fluorescent ones that aren't very energy efficient. And it was suggested by one of the electricians that we might be able to actually save money on our power bill if we put some newer lights in that were more efficient. So we're requesting that we get new lights for the apparatus bay and also some fans to circulate air. The condensation is really hard on the truck chassis and it makes them rust. So if we could do those at the same time while they're doing the wiring, it's less expensive to do them together as a project.
Where is the condensation coming from?
When the trucks pull out in the heat and pull back into the cold, or vice versa.
Did you get more than one proposal?
No, we haven't. We got one just to give you a general idea of the cost. We can get others if we need to.
That's what I would suggest is if you make a motion, you give them to go ahead and do what they need to do, then they can go out and basically find the best deal out there. That's what I would suggest.
Well,
Are they talking about LED lights or?
Well, I guess there were some grants available or some sort of a subsidy for these short compact fluorescents. I wasn't familiar with the light fixtures myself, but that was what one of the electricians in the department had proposed. And so we take a look at any of those kinds of programs and maybe even if there isn't a cost, do a study to see what the most cost advantage is.
The proposal that you got is for like, was it like 35 or something like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, and that would be an equivalent replacement for what's there today. it's not more light density or anything, it would be equivalent.
I guess I would just like to approve a certain amount, and if it was to, for some reason, something was to change, that it was gonna go over that, then we would come back.
These are all incandescents that are in there now?
It's a combination of really old, big incandescent bulbs and then really long fluorescent bulbs. So the incandescent bulbs are in the shop area, the back part,
Okay.
and then the apparatus bay has the long fluorescent.
Okay.
And the thing that really brought this up was that they would burn out so often, we can't keep them all working. And we've had folks on ladders trying to replace them, and, you know, there is a risk there when we're replacing all these things constantly ourselves too, because you've got folks working on ladders that high and all of that stuff. So really, if we could just have something that worked, the cost advantage is a bonus for us.
It's not safe.
I can make a motion then that, we allow the fire department to spend $3,850 on the lightings, to upgrade the lighting system in the fire
I
department.
would just say the maximum of 4,000, and give them a little room.
Okay, I make a motion, cancel that, I make a motion that we, allow the fire department $4,000 to upgrade the lighting in the fire department, and, have them use their own judgment as to, what electrician they would like to go to.
If I may, we'll make sure we get multiple quotes so that we have some comparisons and make sure that we use the best ones.
You want to look at different kinds of lighting too.
Yeah.
I mean, just judging from our trucks, the LED lights are so much better as far as the amount of light that they give off, and, we have like zero problems with them. And, you know, I know they're more expensive, but it might be something that's worth considering.
If we could get a cost benefit study to see over the life of the lights, what the best cost advantage is, that's also a direction.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's gonna be a little bit more expensive, but, you know, in the long run, I think it will benefit you.
Okay, where were we at? You
I
made
made
a
the
motion,
motion.
was there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Paul, second by LaFawn. Any further discussion?
Just a question, what if you look at the LED lights, Nate, and they run more, would you, at that point, would you come back to us?
I would
Yes.
say
If you feel that's the way you wanna go,
Yeah,
in the long run, that would be more beneficial?
yeah, if it exceeded the cost, I'd bring cost proposals back. And really what I'd be looking at is, you know, if they're supposed to last 20 years, what's the least expensive over that 20-year run? So, you know, it may be more expensive for LEDs right now, but they may use less energy and save you more over time. So we look at that total cost of ownership, and then if it exceeds the amount we've got, we'll bring in proposals.
So you could have this back to us by next month then?
Yeah.
Where we're at, okay.
All right, I'll call a motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 16, discussion of possible action regarding per call and meeting compensation for the fire department and first responder. Okay?
So since we have consolidated the fire and EMS together, we're trying to reconcile the payroll systems because they're on two different payroll systems. And there is a difference in the pay for EMS calls and fire calls and EMS training and fire training. So EMS has been paid $15 per call and $13 per training, and fire has been paid $15 per training and $17 per call. And so what we'd like to propose is that we make them the same at $17 per call and $15 per training. We think that we can absorb that in the budget for this year as long as we don't have a record year with a 25% increase in calls or something like that. So really it's to make the payroll process easier, make it the same for everyone.
So So fire stays the same,
Mhm.
and you're looking at the first responders here. The only change there would be in the per call.
Right, for call and training.
Training,
Well, I'm sorry, it was 13 and 15?
Yep.
And you want to make it 15 and 17 for the first responders.
Yep.
how much of a bump do you anticipate that you'll have to do order for?
Based on the trainings and calls from last year, it was about $1,800 total.
Right?
So, and I asked Carrie, she is a member of our board of trustees and also one of our EMRs, emergency medical responders. So,
Okay,
I'll share the estimates.
Sure, we had 277 calls last year and 104 trainings, and it would have been $2 differential for we have an average of 3 responders on a call. So the total came up to about 18,000, and then
1,800.
or 1,800, sorry. Woo-hoo, we're really getting big. And then, but we always paid, we had a cost to our secretary treasurer as the stipends for doing the payroll and all of that, which we don't have this year, so that was $600. So
That cost was eliminated as part of the consolidation.
right, because now it's all done through fire. And then, so that comes to about $1,200 a year, which is about $100 a month. And I looked back, and the last time we had an increase was about 5 or 6 years ago. It's been quite a while. And it just makes it across the board, because right now we're going with them at the same time. I mean, we're doing trainings with them, and it just, payroll turned into a nightmare. I mean, am I fire, am I EMS, so by doing it straight across the board, it eliminates all that hassle.
You need a motion?
Yep.
You bet. Thank you for your help on the island, and the $1,800 is not overwhelming to anyone, I think, for all the services we get. So I move that we standardize the first responders reading and on-call through the $15 and $17 to coincide with the fire department. Does that sound correct?
Yep.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Walters, second by Collins. Further discussion? Call motion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 16, discussion and possible action on borrowing money from the state for street repairs. Kate?
Well, we crunched some more numbers again the other day. Took some actual estimates from Matthew and compared them to other scenarios as far as area to area. And came out to about $600,000. Now, catch with that is, though, that doesn't include any drainage work. Because there's no sense of putting a new street if you're just gonna have water standing in it to ruin it. So, you know, you got that aspect. And again, this $600,000 is the figure that you guys borrowed before I got on the board. My question to you, Scott, is if we went over that, would we have to have like a referendum with the voters to ask for more, to borrow more? No.
No. No. One of the reasons why is because it's a new debt. New debt doesn't count against the revenue limits, but you have to be careful with it, because if you borrow too much, all of a sudden you can be at a 10% increase in taxes. So that's the only thing that you know, because it doesn't count against the levy limit, you have to be careful with it, so that you don't get too much of an increase. So, you know, if you're doing the 600,000, you're replacing the other loan. You know, if you're doing it and you go 200,000 more and it leads to a 3% increase, I could consider that to be acceptable, considering the fact that we need to do something in terms of the streets at some point in time. So, you know, what I would suggest is maybe scheduling a meeting sometime coming up in the next couple of weeks here where we can sit down and talk about what your plans are and, you know, what would be the actual amount that we should look at. Because I never considered it to be, here's the limit of what we borrowed the last time. I don't necessarily think that was the case. I think that having a long-term 10-year plan and seeing what we can afford would be the best way to go about it. And I think that might take some discussion. I don't think in a regular meeting like this that, you know, that would be appropriate. It might take a couple different meetings.
Okay.
You know, the thing about borrowing from the state, that's not gonna be a problem. It's mostly just deciding on what we're gonna do and how much we wanna borrow.
Because we have to have 3 bids, correct?
You know, as far as borrowing from the state, that doesn't have anything to do with that. That's pretty much what we would have to do per the law. But, you know, you can have those and you can borrow the money from the state regardless of that. Say you want X amount for street, you know. There's a whole, I mean, when the time comes when you borrow from the state trust fund, they send a thing over that, you know, we have to do a resolution at the board meeting to do that. So it's mostly a matter of deciding what we're gonna do and how much we want to spend.
Okay.
And I think, you know, figuring that out here shortly would be a good idea.
So you're addressing, we would have a meeting of the board and discuss plans, figures, what we may or may not want to borrow then at that point.
Right, and then once we determine that, then we can put the stuff out for bids. And then in that process of determining who we want to do what, then we can request the money from the state trust fund. Usually takes about a month or 2 from the time you start the process to get the money from them. So we can start the project before we ever even try and get the money if we want to.
Well, what David is doing in his committee, they've done a lot of work here, and we want to do that sooner than later. I think everyone agrees it'll be April or May, and then it'll be another 2 months, and all of a sudden we'll be back
Right,
into the
that's
fall.
what I say. I
again.
think the decisions
We all
need to
know
be
the
made,
conditions.
you know, by the middle of March at the latest, in my opinion.
Well, I got the whole list of streets and cherry pick ones and other ones that can be saved and other ones that are just
Right.
need to be reground and resurfaced. I mean, there's just, it's a kind of a potpourri over here of what you've got. So,
Right, and I just think that's the thing, is we need to go through that and decide, what's the, this would be the grand plan, this is the real bare minimum, and where do we wanna go?
Okay. You want to set a meeting now then for that, or?
God, we can do it next week, I don't think I have anything going on next week.
What?
That's at the 17th. 22nd. Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever.
I'm good for doing that.
I prefer Wednesday.
Yeah, me too, actually. Want to do it then? Dave?
Wednesday, the 19th?
Yeah.
Yes, and as I just mentioned to David, people on his committee and Mr. Pitts is on there also, so, they should be in
I
attendance.
could probably do 5 o'clock on that night too. So, okay. Well, on that, all right, let's go down to item 6F.
Yes, I gave you guys a little handout here, on the back of the memorandum sheet, you'll see we're right at the very bottom here. These two costs are not, they're the state's costs, they're not ours. And it's for, VW, as far as they want to take this sheet here. They want to do some resurfacing over there, rebuilding of that road over there. And then where the brick is, they want to redo all that. The two items here on the right, those are the suggested styles. And the guy that's, Nathan, didn't give me the color schemes I was supposed to get from him. What they would like us to do is maybe coordinate with La Crosse and Alaska as far as colors go, because they actually stain this rock facing. And they suggested going with the lighter tan, because it doesn't fade so bad, and be less maintenance on it. And then we have two options: either we can go with the standard ornamental protective screening on VW structure, both sides of the structure at $41,000, or we can go with the higher end screening on VW, both sides of the structure at $96,000. And again, if we go up to $41,000, they're going to give that remainder to somebody else. And
So the 96,000 would all be covered. It's
Yes.
just a matter of whether we want to go with.
yes, and then what they also want to do is, coming from the west, on the west side of that overhead too, they also want to put up a big welcome to Wisconsin sign, and that'll be on their tab too. We don't pay for that. So. Oh, out of your taxes, yeah, but I mean,
Yes.
we're spreading it out.
Well, the DOT throws money all over the place.
So David, let me this is the work that's going on the interstate. Now, this is part of that.
That's
This is on the VW bridge.
Yes,
And these costs you have down here, those are part of what's already in the project cost for that.
yes. And it's up to us whether we want to go with the
We're
higher
right
or
with that.
the lower.
What is what makes the one higher end?
Just the structure itself, higher grade, fancier. You can, you go plain Jane or go fancy. Again, the guy was supposed to set the stuff and he didn't get around to doing it, so luckily I did this.
So this is all part of this project?
So it would, regardless of whether you went with the least expensive and more expensive, it would still look like one of these.
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess it's up to the rest of you guys, what you want to have them spend on us.
Well, what are you asking us
Which way you'd rather go? Would you rather have them spend $41,000 on the overhead, then they'll give the other 55 to the city of La Crosse on Alaska, or you want to spend it over there?
What the hell with that?
The money's gonna be spent, either way the money is spent. I mean, it isn't like it's gonna go back in some coffers, they're just gonna hand it over to La Crosse
I
on
know,
Alaska.
that's,
So it just isn't like we're wasting somebody's money.
I guess the big thing is just, making sure that we coordinate with everybody
Yep.
else so that they
Yep.
all,
Yep.
we don't have purple and everybody else has
No.
orange or
No.
whatever. Let's try and get them all the same.
Okay, yeah. So I get the guy from, Alaska's name to get a hold of him in the city, so.
So you're gonna meet with him to decide which to coordinate?
Well, that's what, if you guys can choose tonight too, which stone face.
Yeah, I don't know about anybody else, but I don't care. I just think it's important that everybody has the same thing so that they.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, our committee kind of looked at it, they kind of like the lower one here, so.
Who said that?
Our Streets and Roads Committee,
Oh, okay.
yeah, same
Yeah.
decisions.
As long as it's all alike.
All right.
Okay.
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right. Next item on our agenda is
Oh.
closed session.
Before I forget, that's 2015. The other exit's 2016 for time dates.
Say that again?
2015 is when they're gonna be working on BW, and 2016 is when they'll be working on B.
So that one will start next, not this summer, but next summer,
Mhm.
springtime.
2016 on the,
And that one, they're gonna completely close this one
Yep.
for like 3 months or something,
Mhm.
aren't they? I was aware of that.
Okay. I need a motion to go into closed session. Motion to adjourn. No, we're not gonna adjourn.
Any
Motion.
motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any roll call vote?
Supervisor Wilder,
yes.
Supervisor LaFawn,
Yes.
Chairman Johnson,
Yes.
Supervisor Holmes.
Yes. Yes.
All right, everybody, we're going into closed session.